Landry was above all those people.
Fields of Blood tells Landry's story and follows the new owners as they ready the cowboys for the new season. Naked Sport, Monday at 9 on Channel 4.
The Sport of Kings now at Newmarket with Bruff Scott.
This was the moment when the world first noticed Zafonic, when a lot of us first thought we were onto something good. 7 long months since that brilliant win at Longchamp, Zafonic finally arrives at Newmarket on 2,000 Guineas Day. His flight from Paris was delayed by fog, and when he eventually followed his stable companion d'Auberville towards the racecourse stables just 3 hours ago, there was no doubt that the favourite was already perilously close to boiling point. In every sense, this for Zafonic is the moment of truth. The day when questions about his untested stamina and his unsatisfactory comeback have to be answered on the track. The day when talking will not be enough. Mind you, the words have been strong right up to the end. Yes, the 2,000 guineas, a lot more than a one-horse race, and this is much more than a one-race day. It is the classic Saturday at Newmarket. And a warm afternoon now, the going is officially good, and for a huge crowd who've come to this Rolling Mile, we've got the first action on at 2:30, the Mayor Parry Stakes, 12 go over a mile and a quarter, 11 in the Philip Corns for 2-year-olds, plenty of tips there, but only 2 have run before, 14 go in the 2,000, now that Resist the Force is out, 3:40 the off time, but you can feel the tension building here already. At 4:15, the sprinters take the stage, 16 of them in the Palisade Stakes, including Zafonic stable companion d'Auberville from France, who you saw there, and the splendidly named Up and Atom from Ireland. That's over 5 furlongs. We move up to 6 for our final race, the Ladbrokes Handicap. Green Dollar is out of this, but it still leaves us 17 runners to puzzle over. Green Dollar, one of 4 non-runners on today's card. Al Jassaf was out of the first race. We'll show you recorded in a minute. At 3:40, Resist the Force out of the Guineas. At 4:15, Briggs Fair out of that. As we said, Green Dollar out of the 4:45.
Now think of that Coral punter in Southampton. Last September he had a £5,000 double, tax paid on. Say a Daffy for the 1,000 guineas, she's won, he got 11 to 1. And Zafonic at 9 to 2 for the 2,000 guineas, he stands to win £330,000. He's a fishmonger, the chap. He's out for the biggest catch of his life. Now the betting shops report that Zafonic is going to be a big winner for them. The public have turned against the horse. They're not backing it off course, and it's even money here on the track. The 2 worst in the betting shops will be Chadleworth, who's been back from 12 to 1 down to 8 to 1, and Lester Piggott on the morning line this morning with Silver Wizard. That will be the worst result of all for the betting shop. But let's see how they're betting on the course for the 2,000 guineas. It is even money favourite, Zafonic, and they're hawking it right round the track. I've never seen such big crowds here in many a year. Huge crowds come to see Zafonic, but he's even money. It's 7 bar, that's Dwarf. He's also owned by Khaled Abdallah. Ditch by Pat Edery. 8 to 1 against Chadleworth. It's then 10 to 1 Barathea, 14 to 1 Inchinor, then 20 to 1 against Emperor Jones, Pembroke and Right Win, and 25 to 1 Ivory Frontier and Lester Piggott Silver Wizard. But the public, they have not gone for Zafonic. They're against the horse. It is the professionals who are on it. Will it go odds on? Will the officers come in to back it late? The feeling is the SP will be odds on. Come racing, no tax, even money, levels you devils, the great Zafonic.
Plenty of classic horses on display today, but I'm not talking 2,000 guineas, I'm talking Derby. Because in the first race this afternoon, the Culford Condition Stakes, we had the third favourite for the Derby in the shape of Commander-in-Chief. He looked pretty good here 2 weeks ago, but the field was reduced to 5 because Al Jazaf was an absentee. There was another Derby entry in the shape of Blue Judge, and there was an Irish horse as well, but the one the punters latched onto in a major way was this one. Commander-in-Chief, son of the 1986 2,000 Guineas winner Dancing Brave. He's a half-brother to that top-class miler Warning, and he'd made a very impressive debut here 2 weeks ago. But he had to win this to confirm his position as a leading Derby contender. Before we see the race, here's how they bet at the off. JT.
Thank you, Derek. And Commander-in-Chief was the 5-2 on favourite from 3-1 on. Blue Judge 9-2. Oakmead a 10-1 chance. Firm but Fair on 20s. And Nico Mike 50-1.
So the trip's a mile and a half, and the odds-on favourite Commander-in-Chief is setting the pace. On the outside, on the right, Blue Judge in the blue colours. Spotted colours are rail, that's Oakmead. And the pale colours of the blue sleeves and blue cap, Firm but Fair. And the early trailer is Nico Mike. They go to the first furlong, and it's Blue Judge now that takes them along. Blue Judge under Christy Roach by a length and a half to 2. To Commander-in-Chief in second, and then showing third is Oakmead. He's followed by Firm but Fair. And as they start to turn into the home straight, and at the top of the home run now, Nico Mike, the back marker. It's Blue Judge clear by 3 to Commander-in-Chief in second, 2.5 back to Oakmead in third, a length back to Firm but Fair, and then comes Nico Mike. And it's Blue Judge, Christy Roach striding on, 2 or 3 lengths clear of Commander-in-Chief after him in second, and they're 3 clear of Oakmead in third. Firm but Fair and Nico Mike still the tail end Charlies. In Indian file then as they make their way for home, come down past the 7, and it's Blue Judge, Commander-in-Chief in second place, 2 lengths back to Oakmead in third. And the favourite, Commander-in-Chief, Pat Edery, just asking him to stretch to get a little bit closer, but he's reining the front one in now. And it's Blue Judge still leading from Commander-in-Chief in second, and they've pulled 4 or 5 clear of Oakmead in third, and then Firm but Fair and Nico Mike, the yellow colours on the right of the pack. And they come down past the 4 furlong marker. It's still Blue Judge leading, but here comes Commander-in-Chief, the pink cap the outside. 2 lengths back then to Oakmead, who's just being pushed along, and the other 2 are as well. But now Commander-in-Chief, as they come down to the 3 marker, has come to join Blue Judge, or just to be within half a length of him. He's certainly going the better at this stage, but they've still got 2.5 furlongs to go. 3 lengths back then to Oakmead, and the others seem out of it as they come down past the bushes, past the 2. And it's Commander-in-Chief, the pink cap, blue cap the rail, Blue Judge, and Commander-in-Chief lengthens and goes on now. Blue Judge, pacemaker, drops away quite tamely. Off the back, Oakmead starts to stay on, Firm but Fair. And looking back, Nico Mike is tailed off, but they're inside the final furlong. And Commander-in-Chief with Pat Edery looking round, 4-5 clear over Oakmead at the line. A workmanlike performance this for Commander-in-Chief. Commander-in-Chief is the winner, Oakmead second and Blue Judge third.
I thought that was a smashing performance. Mind you, I suppose Henry says that he hasn't won that impressively. There'd have been something wrong.
I think so. I expect him to win easily. But he's very laid back, and we're very easy on him. The ground's getting firmer, faster. And I think if you really picked him up, I mean, I think he'd obviously be much more impressive, but I mean, he's pretty good, potentially.
It proved that he can stay the mile and a half, because the half-brother to Warning, although he's by Dancing Brave, there was just a little bit of a doubt on the breeding side.
And he'll get that well. I think he's just a big baby. He wasn't trained last year, and he's improving, and this is education.
It was.
I think, he's got a lot in the tank.
I think so, and looking at it now, the closing stages, Pat sort of did ride him up, but he didn't really pick him up, did he?
No, he didn't. He just laid, just to keep him going, but I mean, he didn't pick him up. I think if he picked him up, there'd been a little bit more there.
I know you're very keen on this horse. I mean, how do you think if he does go to Epsom? I mean, it's less than 5 weeks away. How will he come down the hill?
I think he's very well balanced, but I mean, we'll just have to see. There's a long way to go. I mean, he's going to run at York, the Glasgow, because he needs experience. He never ran last year, and it's not the greatest sort of thing for a Derby horse, to never run as a 2-year-old. Of course, Tenby will run again, and of course, Armiger runs at Chester. Then Fitzcarrollo Abdallah, I mean, it's up to him. He'll make a decision on what goes well.
It is incredible. He's got the 3 leading favourites for the Derby. At this stage, I know it's very difficult, but at this stage, which of those 3 would you be looking to?
No, I wouldn't say it.
You wouldn't?
No.
You're going to wait and let the horses do the talking?
I think so.
Yeah. What about Armiger, by the way? How is he for Tuesday?
He's very
in the
lazy. He's coming on quite well. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope he'll just have done enough to get away with it at Chester.
Yeah.
But I mean, a race will just put him right.
Well, that was a good performance here. Look forward to seeing you on Tuesday at Chester. Well done in the first.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Here's the SP.
First, number 2, Commander-in-Chief, the 5-2 on favourite. Second, number 6, Oakmead at 10-1. And third, number 1, Blue Judge at 9-2. The tape paid 130 for the win. The places 110 and 190. The dual forecast came to £2.90, and the computer straight forecast paid 4.25. Non-runner 3 and 5 runs.
Well, Khaled Abdallah and Henry Cecil appear to have a lock on the ever-ready Derby. The best price now, Commander-in-Chief, that's 8-1 with Ladbroke. They make 10B the 3-1 favourite with 8-1 against Armiger. But you can get 4-1 10B with Hills and Corals, shorter price against Commander-in-Chief. Teos is 12-1, that's for John Golson, and it's 20-1 bar 4 for the ever-ready Derby. And the Energizer Oaks, possible there, Oakmead, put in 25-1 for the Energizer Oaks. Now, on the morning line this morning, we told you the steamer of the day, number 8, Bold Stroke. One or two punters got 9-2 this morning, 3-1 into 5-2. It's now a 2-1 chance here on the course, Bold Stroke number 8. It's then 6-1 bar, Unforgiving Men is a knock-knock, and 10-1 bar 3, bringing in Christian Stad. But this Bold Stroke, tipped by Lester Pickett, that was his charity bet on the morning line. You were steaming in for it so early. A really heavily backed favourite this. Buckle, 2-1, the good old steamer, Bold Stroke, tipped by Lester.
Only a star on the morning line, quite lit up the show, I thought, and as always, stole it from supposed pros. But the picture puzzle, even he can't get the picture puzzle every time. The computer has to decide, but you first of all have to try and get it right. It's not always the most absolutely devastating Einstein puzzle, but there you are. This is a horse. Let's go through the old rigmarole, running somewhere today. Can you work it out? If you think you can, running somewhere today. No tuss beyond this point, 2,000 guineas. Well, there's enough clues, I think. Anyway, run somewhere today. Ring 0891 99 1144. That's 0891 99 1144. 3 £100 winners will be announced before the end of the show. Let's hope you're going to be there to share it. And news on a busy racing afternoon, news from around the country.
Starting at Haydock with the 1 o'clock race, won by number 3, Gissan, 7-4 favourite. Second, number 4, Licorne, 5-2. And third, number 7, Tardid, 7-1, 7 runs. The Haydock 130, the winner here was number 1, Palace Gate Episode, the 6-5 on favourite. And that beat number 2, Night Melody, at even money and 2 runs. The 2 o'clock was won by number 3, Little Bean, 9-4 favourite. Second, number 7, Beware of Agents, 12-1. And third, number 2, Paternoster, 7-2, 7 runs. At Thursday, 2.15 went to number 13, Cumbrian Rhapsody, at 14-1. Second, number 14, Point the Way, 7-4 favourite. And third, number 11, Kissal, at 8-1, 14 runs. At Utoxeter, or Ucheter, as it's known to the locals, the 2:10 race went to number 3, Briggs Lad, at 92. Second, number 1, Home Counties, 15-8 on favourite. And third, number 6, Rich Desire, at 13-2. Non-runners, number 3 and 5, and 4 runs.
And so our first live action here at Newmarket, the Mayor Para rated stakes. One of those races that got rather controversial, and they have tended to be rather less competitive than before, but this, you can't complain. 12 runners here, 12 pretty tightly handicapped runners too. There's 9,900 to the winner, 1.25 miles. And one horse, I am reliably informed, but not yet seen, been walked all the way around. Well, that's old Pelorus, who you probably know has a very definite mind of his own. Mind you, so would you have if you were owned by assorted hacks like Jeff Lester of the Sporting Life, George Jenner of the Racing Post, and Jim McGrath of the Telegraph. But he has always had a mind of his own, to be fair, and he's certainly exercising his right. But he comes back a lot quicker than that, but as you probably know, sometimes he declines to go anywhere very much. And he was taken all the way to Hong Kong 2 years ago, which is quite funny. He refused to take part there, which is, I thought, exercising his right of silence to, well, extreme lengths. Anyway, 12 runners, 1.25 miles here. Let's have the full list from Graham.
Pelorus' trainer Delwood Ellis has the top weight as well. Cristado, ridden by John Williams. Number 2, Jim Crack Premier, Blinkered, the mad of George Duffield. Number 3, Christian Stad, ridden by Michael Roberts. 4, Muhaya, Walter Swinburne. 5, Unforgiving Minute, Pat Edery. Number 6, Knock Knock, Ray Cochrane. And number 7 is Welsh Mill, ridden by Alan Munro. 8, Bold Stroke, the well-backed horse, partnered by Willie Carson. Number 9 is Young Freeman, blinkered for the first time today under Michael Hills. Number 10 is Tanos, went to post early. Darrell Holland got there safely. Number 11, Barford Lad, Frankie Dettori, and completing the lineup, and probably going to delay the start, number 12, Pelorus, ridden by David Harrison, who claims a £3 allowance. Let's see how the market trades.
Beltstroke is the 9-4 favourite from 2-1. Unforgiving Minute is 11-2 from 5s. And Knock Knock, another 11-2 chance, this time back from 6-1. Dreamcrack Premier is 12-1 from 10s. And Christian Stud, another 12-1 trot, along with Welsh Mill, and it goes 16-1 Bardos.
On this classic day, hazy too. Oh, Pelorus looks terrific. He's actually pulling. A bit of an effort. Let's see how hard Frank and Oaksey are pulling up in the commentary box.
Well, it's nice to see David Harrison has got Pelorus underway, and he'll be with them any moment now. He's won 5 of his 31 races, so who knows? He still gives his journalistic owners a tremendous lot of fun. But there's the favourite, Willie Carson, on Bold Stroke. I should think it's probably the first time Willie's ridden one of Lester Piggott's selections, and the reason for that is Bold Stroke's previous good form, and particularly his only run this season. He was 6th to Lockie and was given a very easy time when he got tired, and clearly couldn't win, but ran really promisingly.
He's a good-looking horse, this. Got plenty of size and scope about him. Showed good form when he chased home Duke of Eurolink in his last run last season. He's a horse who looks to be improving all the time, and from what we've seen, looks like a worthy favourite. Probably see him being settled in. Let's have a look at Knock Knock. Ian Borden as well to keep these older horses on the go. 8 years old now. Knock Knock, Song of Sixpence ran yesterday. He's 9, and the real 1.25 mile specialist. This one ran behind Lucky Guest, another one of John Dunlop's horses. Last time out at Kempton, that wasn't a bad run at all, and had Pelorus behind him on that occasion.
It was too soft for him that day, John, I think, really. These are the ideal knock-knock conditions today. Fast ground is what he likes, and the good gallop and to come from behind. Well, I'm not sure about the good gallop, but I should think they'd go a fair pace today, and Ray Cochrane ought to have every chance of getting in the shake-up on Knock Knock. Here's Pat Edery on Unforgiving Minute, rather a testing name. And this is a great day for Pat, or maybe a great day. He's got a lot of questions to answer in the 2,000 guineas. An Unforgiving Minute might easily give him a real good start to it, because he ran really well against night clubbing the other day. He was only beaten ahead. That was his first run of the season, and he'd won twice last year.
Yeah, his best run, I thought, last year was when he was 2nd to Inner City. That was good form. But most of his good form is on ground with a little bit of cut in it. So maybe a bit on the far side here this afternoon. Let's have a look at Julie Cecil's run here. Christian Stad had the one run so far this year at Newmarket behind Azood, and sort of lost his way a little bit from halfway, but he put some good performances up last year, and it was a good effort when he beat Sharty at Yarmouth. Got himself a little bit warm beforehand.
Michael Roberts won a winner yesterday. Hasn't made a tremendous start to the season, but you can bet your boots that he'll be flying pretty soon. Let's look at Welsh Mill, the mind of Alan Munro. Welsh Mill ran consistently well last season. Hasn't had a run yet, but was never out of the frame in all his 5 races last year, and won at Windsor, and then ran really well in the Autumn Cup at Newbury. Tremendous crowd today. The Guineas is always a big draw, and everybody wants to see whether Zafonic's going to live up to his reputation. You can see the stands could scarcely be very much fuller. The attendance has been up all week, but they're into the stalls, so there you are, Rolls.
Thanks, John. Yes, into the stalls and out of them. Cristado just a bit slow out of the stalls, but it is 1.25 miles. And on settling down, Bold Stroke is one of the first to go on, the favourite Bold Stroke with the pink jacket, yellow cap, and then Welsh Mill after these two. And no great pace on early on. After those two, the white-faced Muhayya, followed by Unforgiving Minute with Pat Edery looking for a quick double following Commander-in-Chief. They've come just over a furlong, and Bold Stroke and Welsh Mill still disputed. from Muhayar and Unforgiving Minute, then Barford Lad Christianstad next. After these is Jim Crack Premier with the blinkers on again, and he's followed by Cristada making ground with John Williams. The back markers, the last four, are Talos, and then young Freeman blinking for the first time, and the two right at the back of the field are Knock Knock with a white noseband, and finally Peloris, these two, the two 8-year-olds. But Welsh Mill in the pale blue jacket, nosebanded from the favourite Bold Stroke, these two as we see them close in, with Welsh Mill and Alan Monroe, Bold Stroke and Willie Carson. After those, Muhayar still prominent, then with the yellow sleeves and cap, Unforgiving Minute, followed by the hoops of Barford Lad. Halfway now in this Mayor Parry Stakes, and with that order, the two leaders still Welsh Mill and the favourite Bold Stroke. Here's Graham Good.
And just the tempo increasing now. On the left, Muhayar, and pressing Welsh Mill. On the right, Bold Stroke. Yellow sleeves are coming there. That's Unforgiving Minute. Telos is the one that's dropped out the back. Jim Crack Premier, having pulled hard, is starting a run. So too Young Freeman on the far side. Christianstad isn't that far away. Barford Lad finishes with a flourish, and they're flattened right across the track. 2.5 to go. And it's Pat Edery on Unforgiving Minute that's hit the front now and takes just about half a length out of Muhayar, Walter Swinburne. The far side with Christianstad and Michael Roberts in the white sleeves. It's developed between these three. Peloris off the back is starting to pick up nicely. So too is Knock Knock coming with his rattle with Muhayar as they flash past the furlong post with Unforgiving Minute. The stand aside, far side is Christianstad, who is held as they race up towards the line. It's Walter Swinburne on Muhayar, pressed halfway. Pat Edery on Unforgiving Minute, but Muhayar is the winner. Unforgiving Minute second, Christianstad third. Close to four, Knock Knock and Peloris, then Cristado, followed by Young Freeman, Barford Lad, Bold Stroke, Jim Crack Premier, and Welsh Mill. And so the result then of this, I say I'm Welsh Mill, but tailed off is Talos, just passing the post now. And so the result then of this, the Mayor Parry rated stakes, it's a handicap over a mile and a quarter. The 16-to-1 shot, Muhayar has won it in the colours of Maktoum Al Maktoum, trained at Newmarket by Alex Scott and ridden by Walter Swinburne, his 10th winner of the season. And what a great three-day meeting Walter is enjoying, having won the Madigan's 1000 on Theodates. It's a close call though, and also in that photo is number 5, Unforgiving Minute. Pat Edery won the opener here, and for a stride or two, or for many strides inside the final furlong, it looked as if he was going to get this one, trained by Peter Harris up in the closing stages. And in the end, they pulled 2 or 3 clear of number 3, Christianstad, Michael Roberts in the white sleeve jacket on the left. They're going to work, but this Julie Cecil trained horse just didn't have an extra bit of toe in the final furlong. But it's a Stanzik horse, Muhayar, that's come home under Walter Swinburne to take this mile and a quarter handicap, and a big win for Walter on another big day.
Extraordinary white blaze face Muhayar has, the Danzig colt. I remember him winning the Wood Ditton last year, that race for newcomers at the first Newmarket meeting. The white face came home in front then, and it does so again. Pat Edery looked like launched what looked like a winning run on Unforgiving Minute. It got him to the front, but not for long. Muhayar rallied and came back, and from there to the line, Unforgiving Minute never quite getting to him, with Christianstad and Michael Roberts only in third place, and Knock Knock and Peloris over on the right running at least with promise for the future. Nothing much between these two, but Muhayar's white stripy face keeps sticking on, and Unforgiving Minute can't quite make it his day.
And Muhayar is returned at 16-to-1. It did touch 20-to-1 on the course. The second, Unforgiving Minute, 11-to-2. The third, Christianstad, was sent off at 12-to-1. And the very disappointing steamer, Bold Stroke, who dropped right away in the last couple of furlongs, back down to 9-to-4 favourites. So one up for the bookmaker, certainly, after that race, the first of 5 on Channel 4. From Muhayar, 16-to-1. The choir boy, still banging form.
First number 4, Muhayar, 16-to-1. Second number 5, Unforgiving Minute at 11-to-2. And third number 3, Christianstad at 12-to-1. Number 8, Bold Stroke was the 9-to-4 favourite and 12 rounds. And at Hereford, the 220 was won by number 16, Just Rosie at 7-to-1. Second number 7, Pandy, the 5-to-2 favourite. And third number 8, Brazilian at 16 to 1. Non-runners numbers 3, 5 and 14, and 14 rounds.
Water Swinburne comes back on Muhaya, who's been off since last September, and come back with a bang. And it's easy when the jockey's riding a best horse, but there's nothing like a man in form. Things seem to swing for you. But now, not for nothing do they call Newmarket the headquarters of the turf. It was, after all, the fountainhead of the whole thing all those century and merry monarchs ago. If you ever visit the town, you should take a dip into its past at the National Horse Racing Museum. So coming up to after this break.
Oh, sorry. Not too late, am I? Indeed you are, Martin. I'll take it. What? Oh, dear. Well, you know, it's just what I've been looking for, yes. I have already been to the Alliance in Leicester. So have I, dear boy. What? Took your advice, sorted out a mortgage before I found the flat. You? This is me with Bunny, the mortgage advisor. Mrs. Warren, whoever lives here has fabulous taste. You see, Martin, you make it all so simple. Hello, ladies! You've been to the Alliance in Leicester. What? You've been to the Alliance in Leicester? Yes. Well, not exactly been. Look, this whole place is crumbling. Oh. Won't mind if I put in an offer then? Yes. No, Martin. Not at all. Go.
Sort out a mortgage before you find a home and be a smarter investor.
20. Clever stuff, this. When I stretch, Cuprinol wood stain stretches with me. Cuprinol. No one does wood more good.
Touch it, and you're tempted.
Select more care for salon beautiful hair.
Because Direct Line don't pay commission to brokers, we can pass the savings on to you. So let Direct Line cut out the middleman. For cheaper motor insurance with a human voice, call Direct Line on 081 686 2468.
Just look at these spectacular spring prices from Do It All. There's £7 off this Do It All coving, £5 off this Do It All 6-panel pine door, 20% off Do It All masonry paint, over £2 off these super fresco blown vinyls makes them $3.99. And £16 off this Aluval 3-way ladder takes it to just $25.95. There's £2 off 2.5 litres of Crown Solo Brilliant White Gloss. £60 off this Mirage Power Shower brings it to only £99. This Do It All tile adhesives right down to half price. And there's stacks more. Do It All. Better products, better prices.
One of these is the 1959 model Gibson Les Paul Standard in Sunburst. The adjustable pneumatic bridge and patent-applied for humbucking pickups make it sound like no other guitar. It'll lick the pants off the other one. Export from Carlsberg, for those who know the difference.
A classic day in every sense. A fine old roadster amongst some of its modern day companions in what is an enormous packed car park, and a tribute to whatever the Jeremiahs may have said, whatever problems they face it, that British horse racing is still a wonderful puller of crowds and of interest. It does have an enviable vitality at its heart.
This is Zafonic. First sight of Zafonic in Britain this year. This is the pre-parade ring. He's just come across from the stables on the other side of the racecourse, and I must say, he looks lovely and calm and relaxed. He has a security man going round the inside just in case. He looks lovely and relaxed. He looks in absolutely tip-top shape. There's quite a few people come over to get a first glimpse of him. You're seeing it first on Channel 4. This is the favourite for the Guineas.
And I'm really pleased to see how much calmer he is, because as you saw early, when he first came off the box this morning, 11:15, he was very jazzed up by any standards. He was trot-trotting and reaching and pulling, and you worried whether the whole thing was getting to him. Well, he's had his walk, he's settled in his new place. He does look much more calm, but let's be fair about it. He's got a long way to go yet. He's got to walk around here for some time. There's more and more people than he'll have seen ever before. He's got a long parade. And in his races he does pull. It's really essential. The horse that can beat Zafonic, most of all, is Zafonic. As I said to you before, not for nothing do they call this place the headquarters of the turf, and a trip back into its past at the National Horse Racing Museum is something everyone should do. We'll have a look at that in a second. First news from Haydock.
The 235 SP won by number 1, Jack Button, the 13-8 on favourite. Second, number 2, Vaccaro, 4-1. And third, number 3, Haute Labelle at 5-1 and 5 rounds.
The famous Newmarket High Street is the setting for the National Horse Racing Museum, which this year celebrates its 10th anniversary. It's full of artifacts and racing memorabilia from a bygone era. I paid a visit with our own historian, John Tyrrel. If you were flying over Newmarket, this is the aerial view. Let me point out, here's the Rowley Mile grandstands and the race course there. This is the July course. There's the stands. The National Stud just next to the roundabout on the main road. And over the road, we've got the golf course, the Links Golf Course. And that used to be a National Hunt course. I didn't know that, JT.
Well, indeed it was, Derek. In fact, National Hunt Racing went on here until about 1905. But it was never a great success, given the winters of Newmarket, obviously. But links are still used as a National Hunt training ground for the few National Hunt trainers that remain in Newmarket.
Yeah, I've ridden around those scooting grounds a few times. It's interesting that a lot of pointers use them as well towards the beginning of the season. You were saying also there used to be many more race courses than the two there are now.
Yes, back in the last century, there were about 18 race courses, including a yearling course, would you believe, over 2 miles and 147 yards. But luckily the Jockey Club, and mercifully, I suppose one might say, they prohibited yearling racing in around about 1858, 1859, and so that no longer exists. And of course, as racing became more sophisticated, and the distances over which they raced became shorter, because originally, of course, they used to race over 4 miles in heats and that kind of thing. So the requirement for the number of courses died out.
Where did they watch the races from? If there were 18 courses, they obviously couldn't have 18 grandstands, could they?
No, they didn't. What they did was to follow the racing on horseback or with their carriages. We did, obviously, the age before the motor car. And the judges' boxes moved around the course depending on where the race was going to finish. And if you had a bet in the race, or if you wanted to follow the running for any particular reason, then what you would do would be to ride alongside the field, just outside the flag, because there were very few running rails in those days, or chains as they called them at that time. And you would then shout encouragement to your selection and ride alongside him and throw him on the
idea. Get up, Willie, and stop messing about and all
Absolutely,
that kind of
yes, right in his ear.
Exactly. And also, in olden days, apparently the parade ring was called the birdcage?
That's correct, and the reason for that was that in late Victorian and Edwardian times, it was a period when women were going racing for the first time in their own right, properly escorted, of course. So one of the places where they would like to parade, naturally, alongside the horses, was in the parade ring, which became known as the birdcage. Now, if you think the word bird is something invented in the 1960s, you'd be completely wrong. It was, in fact, a phrase used in late Victorian and early Edwardian times by the Edwardian mashers. And there was a song called Little Yellow Bird, which Oscar Wilde used in his story, The Picture of Dorian Gray.
So that means if I said at the racecourse today, oh, there's a nice bird over there, I mean, that would be acceptable?
Absolutely.
Oh, I tried today. Putting on a bit of weight, let's have a look at the scales. Come on.
Right you are.
Gosforth Park Racecourse donated this pair of antique scales, the jockey in the roseberry colours. I mean, when were these phased out, JT? I mean, what, 50 years ago? Or?
Oh, no. Weighting in racing came in quite early on. Originally, of course, races were run at catch weights because it was simply matches made between owners of one horse and another. And then it became paramount that the weight carried was obviously going to be the determining factor in the outcome of the race. And then they decided on the weights to be carried between themselves. But eventually they came to the conclusion it would be much better to have an independent body to decide which weights were to be carried, and hence, of course, the beginning of the handicapper. And that's how the handicapper we know today came into being.
And looking at that jockey there, what about Nat Flatman, the first ever champion jockey?
Yes, he was the first champion jockey since records were started in 1846. He won the championship, I think, 7 times in succession. But ironically enough, his chief claim to fame was his Derby win. In fact, he didn't actually win the Derby. He finished second on a horse called Orlando in 1844. But it was the year of the infamous Running Rain scandal, when the winner turned out to be a 4-year-old, in fact called Maccabeus. And so later on, under disqualification, he was awarded the Derby on Colonel Field Orlando. And like Gordon Richards, another champion jockey who only had 1 Derby winner, that was, as I say, his chief claim to fame.
Now, what about the great horses? We've got the skeleton of Eclipse over here. Tell you what, JD, doesn't look too well, does he?
No, he certainly doesn't. But he was a great horse in his time. He was unbeaten, you know, in 18 races. That included 7 walkovers, admittedly, but quite a large number of King's Plate, which was a prime race at the time. And also, he was never extended in any of his victories. But I suppose his greatest claim to fame would perhaps be as a sire. He sired the winners of 862 races worth £158,000. Now, we're talking about the 17th century, so I leave it to you to work out the calculations of what that might be worth today.
Worth billions almost,
absolutely,
wouldn't it?
Yes.
And we're right in saying that virtually every horse running today at a British racecourse is descended from him.
Well, not all, but certainly the majority, yes, even at this stage.
Incredible. Well, from a great horse to a great jockey. The gaunt looks of Fred Archer, champion jockey, committed suicide at 29. Why, JT?
I think principally because of an unhappy personal life, and also because of the sheer rigours of weighting. You have to remember that in those days, 1886 is when he died, there was no such thing as the sort of medicines that jockeys could take today to help with their weight. He had to have these outrageous purgatives, which obviously had a very debilitating effect not only on his body but probably on his mind. Then when he married, unfortunately his wife died in childbirth, and also he was always denied a life outside of racing, something which I think he absolutely yearned for. And when his wife died, he went on a sabbatical to America in order to recover from that, and when he came back, of course, he resumed riding, but he felt that he had to, although there were strong rumours at the time that he would actually retire from the saddle. It would, I think, have been better for him if he had, because towards the end of the season, after, again, months of rigorous wasting, he caught pneumonia at Lewes. He came back to Newmarket, to Falmouth House, a great barrack of a house which he built as a family house, which, of course, is completely unoccupied, with a dead wife and a child obviously living away with nannies and so on. He fell into a delirium, and he had a shotgun, not a shotgun, a pistol, which he kept on his bedside table. And one night he woke up and he thought they were burglars, and in all the anxiety of the moment, he ended up by shooting himself.
And this is the revolver that Fred Archer shot himself with on the 8th of November, 1886. It's incredible, you know, JT, looking at his record, putting it alongside someone, say, like Lester Piggott. Now, Fred Archer was champion jockey 13 times, and he died at 29. Lester's now 57, and he's been champion jockey only 11 times. So this guy must have been incredible. And in those days, there weren't any cars or planes or anything.
No, there were railway trains, but often they had to ride to the races, and of course jockeys used to ride to the races with their saddles tied behind their back, and Archer obviously had to do that. It's quite remarkable, as you say. He rode nearly 3,000 winners in that time. He regularly topped the 200-winner mark as champion jockey, and that was a record which was not beaten until the 1930s by Sir Gordon Richards. Of course, he was 26 times champion jockey. But I think Archer's achievement during the period, if you think of his really restricted career, was far more remarkable. He must have been one of the greatest jockeys ever to ride.
It's the centenary of the birth of Persimmon, winner of the Derby and the St. Leger in 1896. And this mounted head has been loaned by Her Majesty the Queen. John Round Turner, you're looking for people, if they're watching today and they've got anything of interest, could they get in touch with you?
Yes, most certainly. This museum is in business to conserve all items which are of scientific and historic interest to do with racing. And if anybody has an item in those categories which they would like to give to the museum so that we can conserve them for future generations, we'd be delighted to hear from them.
But you don't want them to send them in, they've got to get in touch with you first.
Well, they do have to get in touch with us first, because once a museum has taken something on board, as it were, it's extremely difficult to dispose of it. And so before we take anything into the collection, we have to be quite certain that it does fall into the guidelines of our own collecting policy.
Well, we've certainly enjoyed looking around today, looking at things which are hundreds of years old, and the museum, 10 years old this year.
10 years old this year, on the second day of the Guineas meeting, yes.
And still going strong?
Still going strong, open from the end of March through till December, weekdays, Tuesdays till Fridays, and during the months of July and August we're also open on Mondays as well. And we hope to welcome something in the region of 27,000 visitors each year, if we possibly can. And in addition to that, we run the very popular equine tours, which enable the visitor to bridge the gap between the old and the new. In our own words, we try to make history come alive by showing them what happens on the heath and in the yards at the present time, having already had a look to see what happened in those same positions during their visit in the museum.
Racing, a sport which spans the centuries. It's the longest chronicled sport we've got going, still alive and well all across the country. Let's take news now from you, Choxeter.
The 240 won by number 2, Mr. Boston, the 11-10 on favourite. Second, number 1, Windy Ways at 5-1. And third, number 4, Smooth Escort, 11-2. Non-runners, numbers 3 and 5, and 6 ran. And at first, the 245 went to number 9, Sonderize, 15-2. Second, number 7, Ned's Bonanza, 14-1. Third, number 8, Ballad Dancer at 15-2. And the fourth horse, number 13, Slade's Hill, the 11-2 favourite. Non-runner 1 and 22 ran.
The 11 runners coming out for the Philip Corns Nicolallo's Maiden. 4,500 for the winner, 5 furlongs, only 2 of them. Nonios and Royal Cape have run before, so very inexperienced bunch. A situation where what they look like in the paddock and how they go to the start, and particularly how they move in the market, are crucial. So hold on to your hats. Here's the runners and riders.
And number 1 is Balashak, ridden by David Harrison, and that team drawn 10. Number 2, Blue Bomber at 9, Walter Swinburne. 3 extra bonus at 2, Ray Cochrane. 4, Goldland at 3, Alan Munro. Number 5 is Grotto Pool at 6, George Duffield. Number 6 is Kelly C at 7, Richard Quinn. Number 7, Memorable at 8, Sean Mulvey claims the £7 allowance. Number 8, Nonios at 11, Willie Ryan. 9, Royal Cape at 4, Darrell Holland. 10, Stradishall at 1, Frankie Dettori. Number 11 is Tondras at 5, ridden by Michael Roberts. And the 2-year-olds making their way to post.
Coldland is the 9-4 favourite, opened at 7-4 and back from 2-1. Blue Bomber is 9-2, back from 4s, and Grotto Pool 92, opened at 5s. Tondras 6-1 from 11-2. Kelly C is 14-1 from 12s, an extra bonus steady on the 14-1 mark. Royal Cape is 16-1 from 14s, as is Ballad Shack and Memorable, and Nonios, and Stradishall is 20-1.
Interesting that 2 of the leaders in the betting are by Gone West, the sire of Zafonic, and one of those is Goldland, who you see there in the green colours of Fard Salmon. That's Goldland, a son of Gone West, and the Dams line goes back to Shoreline and Keyline, who won the Park Hill, so there's plenty of stamina there. Hasn't run, of course, and he's one of Paul Cole's 2 runners, the other being number 6, Kelly C.
Yeah, he's a very good-looking horse, this, but as you said, there's plenty of stamina on in his pedigree. And he looks as, I'm not saying he's not going to win this afternoon, but he looks as though he's going to be a horse who's going to enjoy and improve from going over a distance of ground.
Blue Bomber's well bred too. Well, bred to sprint at least by Tina's pet, but comes from a female line, Bob Cowell's female line. Sally Brown, Untold, Shoot Clear, good fillies all. He cost 9,000 guineas as a yearling Blue Bomber. Mr. David Thompson, the owner of the Cheveley Park.
And if you back this one, certainly looks fit enough to do himself justice. Porter Swinburne's got the mounts. And just running through a few of the others, let's have a look at Grotto Pool. This is another Gone West colt. This one quite a little bit heavier though than Goldland, carrying much more condition. Whatever he does today, he looks more like a sprinter, mind you. Some of these look as though they just going to want 6 or 7 furlongs very shortly. But whatever he does this afternoon, you'd expect him to improve Grotto Pool.
Half-brother to Mutaram, quite a good winner by alleged. But let's look at Tondres. You like this one, John, I think, particularly, Lady Beaverbrook's.
Yeah, he's a very impressive-looking colt, this. He's brother to Al Harab, who won the Futurity. And as you can see, got plenty of strength about him, this horse. There were 3 that stood out. This was one. And the other one was, I liked actually, Khaleesi. That's another of Paul Cole's runners. Richard Quinn rides that one. And I also like the horse that's had a run so far, a horse of Brian Meehan's, that's Nonios.
Only 2 have had a run, Nonios and Royal Cape. Neither showed any particular promise, but Royal Cape actually was behind in a maiden at Sandown and got slowly away and finished pretty well. Let's hear if Max got some bright news.
Well, 3 favourites in 14 runnings have won this. The last 6 have been beaten. They've just come in for Goldland, 9-4. Bottle, 2-1 favourite Goldland. Best bet against this Grotto Pool, in from 9-2 now, from 11-2 Grotto Pool. 9-2 Blue Bomber, 6-1 and 13-2 Tondres, and 14-1 Bar. But 2-1 Goldland by the sire of Zafonic. That Gone West. Goldland will give a further hint to Zafonic, maybe.
That's Paul Cole's second runner. Richard Quinn riding Khaleesi, who cost 24,000 guineas as a yearling, having been bought for 16.5 as a foal. He's closely related, 3/4 brother to On Broadway, who won a couple of good races.
That was Frankie Dettori just standing up in the stands on Stradishaw. There's Extra Bonus. That's another one who looks as though the race will bring him on considerably.
14,500 worth of yearling Extra Bonus.
Actually, they all seem to be behaving themselves well so far, loading up those that have been put in.
Let's have a look at the betting now.
An Extra Bonus in the market at 14-1. Goldland now the 2-1 favourite. Blue Bonner 9-2, along with Grotto Pool, and Tondres 13-2. Khaleesi is at 14-1, together with Extra Bonus. Royal Cape and Balashak and Memorable, all on 16s, along with Nonios, and Stradishaw, the outsider, 20-1.
Interesting to see whether they divide up in this race. GG pointed out to me that so far there's quite considerable evidence to show that the faster ground on the Rolling Mile is over the far side. 2 or 3 winners have come down the far side. I don't know whether these will divide up enough to confirm or deny that theory.
Certainly helped Sayadafi, and the 1, 2, 3 in our last televised race. They were drawn 9, 10 and 11. Well, when Blue Bomber is finally being put in, he'll be the last one in. So let's go and join Graham.
More money for the favourite Goldland. 15-8 shot from 2-1. As Blue Bomber and Walter Swinburne ease into the stalls for this Philip Cornsnick and Alloy's Maiden. It's the trippiest 5 furlongs. They're under orders and they break away, and for 2-year-olds not that bad a start. Extra Bonus a little bit slow perhaps. Khaleesi blazing fast, Blue Bomber on the left, and tracking these in the yellow colours, Nonios. Balashak on the left of the pack, and also up with the pace is Grotto Pool in the very pale colours. Black Cap, that's Royal Cape. Green colours the favourite Goldland. Black Cap on the extreme right is Stradishaw, and the one that's trailing is Memorable, and that's just outpaced. It's Grotto Pool that just shades the pack from on the left, White Cap, Blue Bomber. Green colours on the right, Goldland. In between these, Royal Cape in the black and white. They've got 2 furlongs to go. And Royal Cape that's come to press Goldland and join Grotto Pool for the lead. These three have it. They've drawn a length ahead of Blue Bomber. Off the pace is the yellow colours, Nonios staying on well, but Goldland given the office now by Alan Munro. Lengthens and goes away from these. Up towards the line. Goldland, the favourite's going to take the race. And at the post, Goldland is the winner. Grotto Pool in second. Very close to third, Nonios and Royal Cape. Clear of Blue Blommer. And then came Balashak, and the field trailed back to Extra Bonus and Tondres, who was outplayed through the final furlong. And so the result then of this, the Philip Corns Nickel Alloys race, it's a win for number 4, Goldland, in the colours of Fard Salmon, trained by Paul Cole, ridden by Alan Munro. Justified favouritism and returned, I note, at 2-1, this Son of Gone West. Another winner for Alan Munro. Look at his new style, slightly more in behind the horse and drive position in the green jacket he wore successfully on Generous in the Derby. And Alan Munro coming home here, looking round, no dangers. The horse quickened up nicely off what appeared to be quite a good pace early on. And he looks round, absolutely no dangers indeed. For some way behind is the close call for second place. In fact, the judge has called Grotto Pool as second. It's a close call for third between Nonios, who stayed on quite nicely, and Royal Cape, who ran prominently as officio, ran well for a long way.
Well, if you want a breeding portent, this is a good one, because 2 Gone Wests finished first and second. Goldland in the Generous colours, taking the lead from Royal Cape, who'd had a run, and on the left of Royal Cape in the very light colours of the Duke of Devonshire, the straw colours of the Duke of Devonshire, Grotto Pool, and it's Grotto Pool who chases home his paternal half-brother, Goldland.
And really lengthened his stride as he hit the rising ground. I must admit that he's really surprised me the way he's pulled clear of some of these other horses.
Well, there's a memorable sight. Lester Piggott, our guest this morning, now about to ride in his umpteenth 2,000 guineas, just weighing out for Silver Wisp. Not Silver Wisp, Silver Wizard, I must say. There's Warren O'Connor. You remember him riding Kooyonga, weighing out for Revelation. But there's the third place. We can't see from here, really. GG, what do you think?
And on the far side, it's Nonios in the yellow colours, and nearest to us in the black and white diamond jacket, that's Royal Cape. And they're 2 or 3 clear of Blue Bomber.
And Punter sussed out the right one there. Goldland back down from 9-4, returned the 2-1 favourite. Second is Grotto Pool at 9-2, and very close for third, as you see, between 2 20-1 chances. Nonios and Royal Cape both returned at 20-1. But that Goldland, the 4th favourite in 15 runnings to win this, for the first since Zybag 7 years ago, and the others were the Henry Cecil pair, Brave Owen in 85, and the very fast Precocious in 83. That Goldland, I don't know about you lads, but that looks like a Royal Ascot horse.
A result from Hereford, the 250 won by number 14, Height of Fun, at 20-1. The two paid £29.30. Second, number 7, Nathan Blake, 4-1 favourite, and the third horse, number 12, Princess Court, at 10-1. Non-runners here were numbers 3, 8, 9, 11 and 18, and 13 runs.
Goldland heads for the Coventry Stakes at Royal Ascot. We head for a break, and after that, the build-up to the 1993 2,000 Guineas, a classic race on the Classic Channel.
Be a two-car family with a 16-valve Nissan Primera. Well, no.
where do you root out what you want? With 5 sections, the Thompson directory is bound to know.
Shocked by rising motor insurance prices? See if the AA can give you a better deal. Call free on 0800 444 777 for your free quote now.
We've discovered Tyrrel-shaped twin pot, a delicious combination of succulent strawberry and temptingly tasty yogurt. Or, to put it another way, temptingly tasty yogurt and succulent strawberry. Either way, it's still less than half the fat of most other twin pots.
Tyrrel-shaped twin pot, doubly delicious.
The world revolves at 1,000 miles per hour. It's enough to make you dizzy. Talk amongst yourselves. I may be sometime. If you keep an open mind, you'll discover dark secrets. Have you been here long?
Cut down the cost of your gardening. 75 litres of Lavington multi-purpose compost, only £5.99. At garden centres where you see this sign.
There are already spring savings right across the store at Court, and if they're not already 20% off, they will be this weekend, and Monday too.
Dirty floors are no problem with new Mr. Muscle Floor Cleaner, because it wipes out grease and grime. Mr. Muscle loves the jobs you hate.
Zafonic is here. Zafonic, who faces his moment of truth. He goes into the unknown. Andre Fabre waits. And let's be clear about this. Andre Fabre doesn't know. Pat Henry doesn't know. Nobody knows whether Zafonic will stay this mile, will have trained on. We do not know that until the end of the 2,000 guineas. No amount of talk's going to get the horse there. He has to do it now on the racecourse. That's the excitement, the thrill of the horse racing game. And that's why this is a particularly attractive 2,000 guineas, because there are doubts about Zafonic. He hasn't gone the distance. He did get beaten in his warm-up. Therefore, we can look at other ones. They don't look on the form book to be up to it, but maybe things will work out. They've got improvement in them. That, again, is the fascination of this 15-runner 2,000 guineas, which is coming up in about 20 minutes' time. Let's give the FP of the 2-year-old race we just had.
The 3 o'clock race here, won by number 4 Goldland, 2-to-1 favourite. Second, number 5 Grotto Pool, 9-2, and third, number 8 Nonios returned at 20-1. The tape paid $3.20 for the win. The places 170, 190, and 420. The dual forecast £8.70, and the computer straight forecast $10.91, and 11 rounds.
Well, there's no doubt that racing needs stars, and there's a tremendous atmosphere, a kind of buzz around Newmarket. People have come to see Zafonic. Is he a great horse, or will the bubble be burst, as they say? But the crowd's here. I'm sure there's a bigger crowd here because Zafonic is here. They want to see an outstanding performance, and the atmosphere around the course, people talking to themselves. They were here when Zafonic was here. So let's see how the betting goes. This is with the bookmakers on the course, and it is still even money Zafonic, but 1 or 2 have laid 11 to 10 against it. But they're not, the betting shops are reporting, this is not a loser in the betting shop. Zafonic, the horse, they've all come to see. It's then 7 to 1 Bar, that brings in Wolf, with 8 to 1 Chadlerworth, that's been well back this morning, with the Chandler finishes a £3,000 bet, and 9 to 1 that. 10 to 1 Barathea, with 14 to 1 Inchinor, and 20 to 1 Bar. For the whole course, the one horse they all want to see, discuss, talk about, is of course Zafonic. Now, the feeling here is that he will go off as odds on. The big firms will come in late. They'll soak up the money. This horse will go off odds on for the 2,000 guineas. And this century, 8 horses have started at odds on for the guineas, and 6 have won. In the 80s, Michael Stout's pair, Doyoun and Shadid, were both 5 to 4 on. But Vincent O'Brien's Appalachia flopped in 74 behind Nono Alco. And then some great winners of the guineas. The great Triple Crown horse, Nijinsky, in 1970. King George VI Big Game in 1942. Ray Johnson on Colombo in 7 to 2 on in 1934. And Bayardo turned out to be top class, but a bad winter preparation had him beaten in 1909, and Steve Gallion won 2 years earlier at odds on. We think that Zafonic will go on at odds on, but what will he be like in the parade?
The horses in that preliminary paddock, and the team of Prince Khalid Abdullah watching. They, of course, have 2 horses here, Wolf from the Henry Cecil stable, and Sheikh Mohammed too. Sheikh Mohammed talking to Khalid Abdullah. Sheikh Mohammed has Emperor Jones and Barathea and Pembroke, and Prince Khalid has Wolf from the Henry Cecil's team and Zafonic from France. The Middle Eastern influence here, very, very obvious and very, very strong in the cream of the bloodstock world. The British best horses in the world, best 3-year-olds in the world, are here at Newmarket today. News from Haydock.
A 305 at Haydock, won by number 1, Featherface at 3 to 1. Second, number 2, Grand Sonorum, 5 to 1. And third, number 6, Tesh Singh, the 6 to 5 on favourite, and 6 ran.
The tension is just neatly queued up by the weather. A great peal of thunder rang out. It's possible that the heavens could open in the parade here. Everything building towards a wonderful 2,000 guineas, perfectly set. We do not know the outcome, but there are all sorts of possibilities. We could see a superstar, we could see one of the others emerging. Wolf or Chadlerworth might become a super miler. One of the others may just prove to be a thoroughly good gamesman who bursts some other bubbles. We don't know. We'll see. Join us for the whole build-up to this year's 2,000 guineas after the break.
The latest, the greatest, the most up-to-datest, Bob Roberts, a league of their own, single white female. It could be a year before it's on satellite.
Touch it, and you're tempted.
This is new Colour Magic car polish from Turtle Wax. It's colour enriched to blend with your car's colour. Watch. When you polish, minor scratches disappear like magic. Just pick the colour closest to your car's finish and see how Colour Magic blends in to enhance the true colour and polish off those imperfections. One easy application leaves a brilliant deep gloss shine that can last up to 12 months. New Turtle Wax Colour Magic. Seeing is believing.
I'll be spending less time on it this year.
Is it something I've said?
No, it's something Black & Decker have done. The new trim and edge has a unique system, Auto Feed Plus. If the cutting line breaks, more line is fed out automatically, trimming the time it takes to trim and edge.
That's better.
Nice one, Speedy.
I need a trim and edge.
The new Trim and Edge with Auto Feed Plus from Black & Decker.
You already know you don't need muscle to use Mr. Muscle Non-Smear Window Cleaner. Now we'll prove Mr. Muscle No Rinse Bathroom Cleaner is just as tough. Mr. Muscle loves the jobs you hate.
Hello? Oh, Alex. I'm at the British Gas Showroom. Yes, there's so much to look at here. Central heating, tumble dryers, lovely fires. I'm looking at a rather attractive cooker at the moment. The sales assistants are amazingly friendly. Come to look round. What now? There's no need. They've got a catalogue. I'll bring one with me. Don't you just love being in control?
For your copy of the gas collection, phone free on 0800 850 900.
Someone's got their eyes on your car. Always leave it secured with your belongings out of sight.
The power of Solpadeine is now available in a new tablet form. Designed on computer to make pain relief easy to swallow, Solpadeine is one of the most powerful painkillers available without prescription. Solpadeine contains 2 highly effective pain-killing ingredients that deliver relief fast. If pain strikes, hit back with the power of new Solpadeine tablets.
Welcome back, where Zafonic just walked into the unsaddling enclosure. Indeed, that back view is just the one key to attention. You can see inside his hind legs just a little bit of sweat foam collecting, but he's, as I say, looks much calmer than he did earlier on, and it's just how he handles the next quarter of an hour. It's going to be one of the crucial things. How he handles the first part of these preliminaries and how he handles the first part of the race. That is the key to him lasting the extra distance. We know he's the fastest horse in the race. That's a huge advantage. We don't know if he'll conserve his energies enough for the mile or whether the others will be good enough to test him. But rain is threatening up in this sky. Just feel a touch of it on the neck. So I tell you, it would take much more than a monsoon to dim the enjoyment of this a beautifully poised 2,000 guineas. 14 runners will resist the force out. The straight, rolling mile in front of them. Here's the full list from Graham Gould.
And number 1, Barathea, is the mount of Michael Roberts, and they're drawn 6. Number 2, Binaj Ward at 4, Bruce Raymond. Number 3, Chattleworth at 7, John Reed, and the white cap Ray Cochrane. He rides Emperor Jones, and they're drawn 8. Number 5 is Inchinor, ridden by Frankie Dettori, they're 11. And number 6 is Ivory Frontier at 2, Christy Roach. 7, Nominator at 15, Willie Ryan. Number 8, Pembroke at 13, ridden by Willie Carson. And number 9, Petardia, blinkered for the first time today, the mount of Michael Hills, and they're drawn 5. Resist the Force is a non-runner, but the Revelation certainly is. And that one's ridden by Warren O'Connor, they're drawn 14. Number 12 is Right Win at 1, Richard Quinn. 13, Silver Wizard at 9, Lester Piggott. Number 14 is Wharf at 12, Walter Swinburne. And note these colours, Wharf in the English colours of Khalid Abdullah, that's green with a pink sash and cap. And number 15, Zafonic, ridden by Pat Edery, they're drawn 10, in the green with the pink epaulets and cap.
And Phonic is the 11 to 10 on favourite from even money. Wharf is 15 to 2 from 7 to 1. Shuttleworth an 8 to 1 chance, and Barathea on 10s. Inchinor a 14 to 1 shot. Emperor Jones on 20s, and Pembroke also at 20 to 1. Right Win again a 20 to 1 chance. Revelation on 25s. Silver Wizard is 33s from 25 to 1, as is Ivory Frontier. Binaj Ward 66s along with Petardia, and Nominator 100 to 1. All quoted for the 2,000 guineas.
Well, I've now had about 10 minutes of the horses walking around in the paddock, and there's no doubt that just on looks and power walking round that Zafonic is the outstanding colt at this stage of development. And so the others like Bin Adjwad is a very pretty horse, the Chattleworth a long, scopy individual, and Emperor Jones is handsome, but this is a different class on looks. He's a magnificently powerful horse. He seems quite cool and calm, but notwithstanding all the strong words, not forgetting last year's brilliance, which put him top of the rankings, the unerasable fact is he got beaten in the pre-jabble at Maison La Vite 3 weeks ago. Of course, they've all heard the excuses of bad ground and overcautious ride by Pat Edery, but racing history really commands us to be sceptical. Whatever else, this comeback did not go according to plan.
Kashani, the Zafonic's pacemaker, is leading, but Cash Asmussen is coming up quite soon on King Mambo in the light blue cap, and you see Zafonic on the outside already not going quite as happily as his admirers would have wished. Here comes King Mambo to take or to join the pacemaker Kashani, and now look at Pat Edery. He's beginning to ask Zafonic. When he did that last year, the acceleration was immediate. Now there isn't any acceleration at all. He's staying, going up and down in the same place in this ground. Pat isn't at all hard on him. He never picks up his whip. He drops his hands close home. Nevertheless, that was a deeply disappointing performance.
This is Wharf, whose jockey, Walter Swinburne, aiming to pull off a remarkable treble, just about to get mounted. Walter won the 1,000 on Thursday, the big race here yesterday, the Jockey Club Stakes, and today he must have an outstanding chance on Wharf, who really does look trained for the day. He was one of 6 runners today who took their chance in the Craven, and that was here 2 weeks ago.
Right across the track, and here comes Baratheer unleashing his run on the right of the leaders, coming to share it with Emperor Jones, nominator. Just a little bit of the meat in the sandwich. Chattleworth runs the big race on the far side. Emperor Jones going all over the shop. Bentley Quattro Fogle is very wide indeed, but a length or so off the pace as they come inside the final furlong. And it's Wharf, the pink cap, white cap Emperor Jones, Baratheer, and right down the stand rails, Bentley Quattro Fogle, a photo.
Remember about that Craven Stakes, John Gosling said yesterday, a bit of a rat bag of a race, and Lester Pickett said they can't all be good horses, but we'll have to see. This will be one of the most interesting developments of the form book after today. But here's Inchinor, a gutsy little horse who's done well to get here at all. Slight bout of coughing put his participation in doubt until a make or break gallop on Tuesday. But he's tough on the racecourse too. He battled home well to win the Greenham a fortnight ago. And whilst Phonic was much too fast for him, the Dewhurst, the gap wasn't widening at the finish, and there's another uphill furlong to run today.
Zafonic starts to stride through on the second from the right of the picture, and look at this horse go. He's come to share the lead now. Zafonic in the lead from Subuk. Fatherland's after him, trying to get there, and it's Zafonic now as they race down into the dip. Zafonic edging over to the centre of the track. Subuk and Inchinor behind, and then Firm Pledge. Fatherland's in pursuit now, but it's Zafonic that's got into the lead, cleared by 2, beating a class field and coming away from them as they race up towards the line. It's the Lord of the Manor, Zafonic, clear up towards the line. Zafonic absolutely annihilates the field.
Now, this is number 12, Right Win, one of 2 horses trained by Richard Hannon. He's trained a couple of 2,000 Guineas winners, and one of the Hannon horses we think could set a fast gallop to test Zafonic's stamina. Anyway, Right Win is a son of Law Society, and he showed his well-being for this classic by running clean away with the bonus print Easter Stakes. That was at Kempton 3 weeks ago.
It's Right Win that has the advantage. John Reed just punching away, hands and heels, clear now of Arms and Saxon Star Manager. They're inside the final furlong, but Right Win should take this right tightly at the end. Arms and Saxon and Star Manager fight it out for places, but it's a one-horse race. The favourite takes it. Right Win lands the race. Right Win the winner.
Here's another big horse, Revelation, almost as tall as Zafonic, almost as heavy-looking, really powerful-looking individual. He came back in the free handicap a fortnight ago. He didn't win, but he had today's rivals Silver Wizard and Petati behind him. He could be a tough outsider today.
2.5 to go, right across the track, and here comes Darbon, the white cap, in the centre, so factual on the left. Revelation behind these. Then Silver Wizard, with Petardia starting a run now. But it's So Factual in the lead, going down into the dip. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That was Darbon who had to be snatched up badly there. But So Factual is clear, he's stolen it. Revelation's coming with a late thrust, but So Factual's going to hold him. At the line, So Factual beats Revelation in the photo.
There he is, a magnificent specimen. Last year, he looked a whole generation older than his contemporaries. I don't say he looks that now, but he's certainly developed and trained on as far as we can see, as has been said. We won't know until about 10 minutes' time whether he really has maintained last season's excellence.
Well, he still looks head and shoulders above the rest, certainly from a physical point of view. He's always been a big horse. He was a big 2-year-old, and well, as we said last year, he looked like he was a 3-year-old. Now walking around, he looks as though he's a 4-year-old in with 3-year-olds. That was Wharf. Looks very fit, this horse. Been out for a little bit longer than most of these others, walking around, soaking up some of the atmosphere. It's really relaxed.
You saw his battle with Emperor Jones. We're back to Zafonic, but there's, on the form of the Craven Stakes, there's very, very little between Wharf and Emperor Jones and several others, including Chadleworth. But the question is, who's improved most? And certainly Henry Cecil, and the view from Henry Cecil's stable is that this fellow Wharf has done really well since the Craven. There certainly is a strong feeling in Warren Place that if there are any flaws in Zafonic's armoury, Wharf could be the one to find them out. I don't need to tell you that Walter Swinburne, who rides him, is absolutely on the crest of a wave this week.
Just not quite as big as the Phonic, this horse. And the French horse just settled down a little bit now. He's got himself just a little bit stewed up walking around in the pre-parade ring. But seems much more settled now.
Yes, the long walk down in front of the stands. Not absolutely certain whether they're having an official parade. They said they'd cancelled it before the 1,000 guineas, but then sort of reinstated it. There they come out now. Bin Ajwad leading Chadleworth, and behind them is Emperor Jones, Ray Cochrane in the second Sheikh Mohammed colours. In the black and white halved is Inchinor with the red cap. Then the Irishman, Ivory Frontier, with the blue, dark and light blue Diabolo. Behind him, the superbly consistent Nominator, who ran 18 times last year. Then Willie Carson in the third Sheikh Mohammed colours. That white sash, do you see? The cap with the white star, but the white sash denotes the third colours carried by Pembroke. He's another son of Gone West, the sire of Zafonic. And behind Pembroke is Petardia, the Coventry Stakes winner at Royal Ascot.
He looked well, John. He was really on his toes. He wasn't sweating, but really on his toes. There's one of the horses that I think's improved most from the Craven. That's Barathea. Really come together well, this horse.
Yes, he had been going really well before the Craven too, hadn't he? Luca Kumani believes that he may have made abnormal improvement.
Certainly a fascinating race, this. If you take the favourite out, there are so many permutations as Barathea come on for his run, or Chadleworth, and certainly Emperor Jones as well. Although Emperor Jones didn't look absolutely sparkling in the paddock beforehand. Just looked a little bit off in his coat. There is Chadleworth. And Morella's going up now. There are a few claps of thunder earlier. A few big spots of rain beginning to fall.
Really bad luck if it's going to rain heavily, but let's hope that it won't have any deterrent effect on any of these runners. I don't see any reason why it should. They all, touch wood, look perfectly calm in the parade. There's Inchinor. He's really the form horse in a way to finish second in this race. He's beaten several of his rivals. He beat Right Win and Emperor Jones last year. and then in the Greenham Stakes he did everything asked of him. Has cost a little bit since then, but Roger Charlton is confident that he's got over that. But in the Dewhurst, he didn't see which way Zafonic went.
Not all that big, this horse, Inchinor, but he's quite widely made. Probably prefer just a little bit more cut in the ground. It's quite fast here this afternoon. Frankie Dettori yet to win a Guineas. In fact, quite a number of these jockeys. Michael Roberts, of course, won it on Mystico.
Bruce Raymond hasn't won one. On Bruce rides Bin Ajwad. Would be one of the outsiders, very definitely. Nevertheless, he was really good second in the Horace Hill, the Beggarman Thief last year, and didn't run that badly behind Port Lucaya in his only run this season. That's Emperor Jones, followed by Inchinor. And then the Irishman, we haven't seen him, Christy Roach on number 6, Ivory Frontier. He's a colt who looked like hitting the heights last year, but he then was proved not to be the best 2-year-old in Ireland even, and since the best Irish 2-year-old was cleaned out in the Dewhurst, there's no real reason to believe that Jim Bolger will have Ivory Frontier improved enough to win here. Now let's have a look at the betting.
And Zafonic is now the 5-4 on favourite. Wolf is 7-1, back from 15-2. And Shuttleworth 9-1, out from 8. Arathea steady on the 10-1 mark. Inchinor is a 12-1 shot from 14s. And Emperor Jones and Pembroke both are 20s. Right Win also a 20-1 chance. Revelation 25. So Wizard 33s along with Ivory Frontier. Bin Ashwar 66s with Petardia nominated the outsider 100-1.
And there he is. Zafonic the second, of course, of those. That's Worf leading him down. But Pat Edery, well, at the moment, touch wood, he's taking a hold, but not a particularly wild one. Would you think?
No, just got him nicely settled. Getting a tug in behind the stable companion, or same owner colours rather, of Worf. And well, I should think Pat will be happy when he gets him down to the start, gets him switched off. And he'll have been pleased to have read in the papers this morning that Right Wind's going to go out and blaze a trail. Won't be the biggest surprise if Silver Wizard does likewise, because as you can see, the further he's gone, the more of a tug he's given. He certainly pulled very hard in his prep race where he was beaten by King Jambo. And the quicker they go, the easier it's going to be for Pat.
And there is Worf leading Zafonic down, and looking at Zafonic, he looks as loose as a goose going down to the start. And a lot of people here watch the parade, absolutely delighted with him, and the heavy hitters are in for him. And even £20,000 was laid by Roy Christie. £10,000 at even money, £5,500 to 5 on. It's now 5-4 on Zafonic. It's now 6-5 on. 6-5 on Zafonic, and 74 favourites have won in 184 runnings of the 2,000 Guineas, 26 odds-on winners. Bar the one, it's 7-1 against Worf, then 9-1 Chattleworth, 10-1 Barathea, some money for Inchinor into 12-1 from 14-1, and 20 bar. But looking and seeing Zafonic here, the crowd have seen for themselves. They're really lumping on now into Zafonic. He was as loose as a goose.
Well, I've got to say that I wasn't too impressed with the way he was going down there. The further they got to the stands, the harder he was pulling. And it's certainly going to make things an awful lot more difficult for Pat Edery and for himself if he doesn't settle. Anyway, that's Chattleworth. He's a horse who's certainly tightened up for that run in the Craven. Looks plenty light enough, mind you. He's obviously done plenty of work. Peter Chappelheim done plenty of work with this horse since.
Well, Tomo talked to Peter Chappelheim before racing and asked him what has Chattleworth done since his run.
Well, when I got him back, I sort of woke him up a bit. I'd been very easy on him, obviously, with his leg and everything. And we woke him up, and really, this week, he really has come to himself, and he really is. I think he's in top form. He's in great form. He really is.
What sort of horses does he work with? What sort of stuff has he done?
Well, he works with the two same lead horses I used last year for Rodrigo and Dr. Davis, Relentless Pursuit and Spanish Grandee. They might not be the greatest racehorses in the world, but they can certainly gallop, especially when he's got to give them sort of 2 stone. And he's been working with a horse that ran yesterday and working well with him, really well.
When Peter refers to Chattleworth's leg, there is, of course, a screw in one of his legs, which mending an injury which he suffered last year. But, touch wood, it seems to have worked. Well, there's Frankie Dettori on Inchinor, who, as I say, is, in my opinion, tremendous clap of thunder. I don't know whether you've heard it. It sounds absolutely immediately over where we're sitting. And I just hope it's not as loud in the horse's ears as it is in mine. Inchinor doesn't seem to be too worried about it. Well, Tomo talked to Roger Charlton beforehand and asked how Inchinor had done since Newbury.
Well, when he came back from Newbury, a few days afterwards, he gave an odd cough, which worried me. But in himself, he's been in fantastic form. He looks great, pleased with the way he's working. Satisfied as much as one ever can be that he's over whatever he had for a few days. We scoped the horse, he was clean, we blood sampled him, everything was absolutely normal. And I hope he runs very well today, you know. But with odd horses in the yard coughing, you never really know.
Any chance of reversing the Dewhurst form with Zafonic?
Why not? Yes. I don't see any reason why not. If Zafonic pulls, it doesn't get the trip, we're right there to fill the you know, the first, second, third or fourth place. We'll be trying anyway.
If Zafonic pulls, that's the question everyone's asking. How are Pat Edery's silken hands going to work? Are they going to save the energy that's needed from the dip? There's somebody sheltering her father. But now, nobody's been in better form all week than Walter Swinburne, and Derek Thompson knew that Walter has ridden Wharf at home since he last ran, and asked what sort of a feel he'd given him.
Oh, a nice feel. I rode him work across the flat there last weekend, and he worked very well in ground that he's not really suited by in soft ground, and I think Mr. Settle was pleased, so if he's pleased, that's good enough for me.
Now, obviously, the $64,000 question is, what chance of beating the French hot pot, Zafonic?
Well, I think, you know, really, strictly on the book, we've all got about £7 or so to find on Zafonic. I think if Zaphonic's Zaphonic, we can't beat him, but funnier things have happened in racing, and he could easily come here and pull or do something, and, you know, and if he does, I think my horse is the one to chase him and give him a race.
And what about Emperor Jones, who beat you here at the Craven meeting? How confident are you of getting your revenge on him?
Well, obviously, I've got to be £3 better off, and Wharf had, I believe, 12 weeks in his box. He hasn't run since last July, and, you know, before that race, so it had looked like, you know, my horse would, you know, had more room for improvement, so we'll see.
Zafonic now the 11 to 10 on favourite. Wharf is 7 to 1. Shuttleworth at 8s. And Baratheer at 10s. Ichinor is 12 to 1. Emperor Jones, Pembroke and Wright win all at 20s. And they go 25 to 1 bar those. And now Ichinor is into 10 to 1. Open to 14s. Ichinor now a 10 to 1 shot.
So the runners go into the stalls end for this 1993 running of the 2,000 guineas. And Petardia blinkered for the first time, one of the last in. Pembroke into stall 13, that looks about it. The favourite Zafonic from stall 10, and they race away, and being given the lead by Inchinor, the pace not strong, but Leicester's going out there in front on Silver Wizard. Silver Wizard it is, the orange colours, and at this stage, Pat Edery has got Zafonic tucked in and only 2 or 3 behind. Nominator goes second, and then in third, that's the Chestnut Wharf, with Right Wind going with that one in the orange colours, followed by Ivory Frontier, and at this stage, Zafonic and Chattleworth are towards the rear, so too Petardia and Binajois. But it's Silver, Wizard and Leicester Piggott leading from Nominator And then right win the stand side with Wharf showing up prominently. Revelation's not that far off the pace. Blue colours nearest to us, that's Ivory Frontier. White cap is Emperor Jones, and Barathea the far side of that one. And Zafonic is in a line of 4 for last place. It's going to have to be a very good horse to win from there. And it's Silver Wizard leading. Silver Wizard the leader and nominated there 1 and 2. Followed by Wharf in third, Revelation. There goes Zafonic on the far side. On the left of the picture, getting closer. He's on the extreme left now, is Zafonic. And they've got 2.5 furlongs to go. Nominator, Barathea, Zafonic on the left. He's absolutely pulling double. They've got just 1.5 furlongs to go. But it's Zafonic now given the office. But Barathea is making a race of it. But Emery gives the go on Zafonic. It is Zafonic we're waiting to see. And it's Zafonic coming clear by 2, 3, 4. Barathea, Bidadwa for places only. But this is a very good horse. This is Zafonic, the winner. Barathea, a great run, second Bidadwa, third Batadia, fourth, Silver with a tie. Inchinor 6 and then Wharf 7 in the field. Trail back to Pembroke, who was last of all. Well, that was what we all wanted to see. Those fans of Zafonic, well, the omens, the cloud, the thunder, the lightning that was around the roof just before the start of this 1993 2000 Guineas had everybody on their toes. But Zafonic is absolutely in a class of his own. He has annihilated them. He's turned the most competitive field we've got into a possession. He really is a very good horse indeed. And the 5 to 6 on favourite to give Pat Edery his 10th classic win. Well, Edery's ridden Low Mondale Grand Senior to win this race. He's ridden Grundy, Golden Fleece and Quest for Fame. He's ridden Polygamy and Scintillate. He's ridden Moon Madness and Toulon. But I don't think he'll ever ride a more impressive winner of a classic than this horse, who came from last to first, just being shown the whip. But he's come away from a class field at a fast run race as well. Leicester ensured that. And he's come away in really splendid style. Second horse home was Barathea. Third horse home, number 2, Binajwad. This is simply a rout.
We knew the answer very soon after the stalls had opened, really, because it was clear that Zafonic was settling. He immediately, Pat Edery dropped him out from the stalls, was among the last rank through the first 2, 3 furlongs, and it was clear, we couldn't see him all that well, but it was clear that Zafonic was not fighting for his head as he did at Maison Lafitte. This ground suited him perfectly. He settled, and when the burst of acceleration came, it was every bit as impressive as it was last year in the Salamange and here in the Dewhurst Stakes. He's done everything asked of him and done it superbly. John was saying that if Pat Edery lives to be 100, he won't ride an easier winner, nor will he ride a better race, because it was down to his hands that Zafonic settled so well, and when finally he pulls him out, follows exactly the same path as Walter Swinburne did on Sayadati, in fact, comes down a big gap over on the far side. He's now joined Barathea. Barathea looked like making a fight of it for a few strides, but nothing can fight with this fellow when he's going. He's really got another gear, and he moved into it to accelerate, and away he goes from Barathea. What a performance.
It was an incredible performance, this, and I was saying that I don't think Pat Edery will ever ride an easier winner if he lives to be 100. I don't think that was of any race, never mind a 2,000 Guineas.
Well, Mr. Abdallah is never a man to say very much. He's an extremely modest, retiring man, but he had said that he couldn't see how Zafonic was going to get beaten, and now that's been proved in public. So we're looking at a very proud and happy man, the man who's got the best horses in the whole world.
Well, so often you have a good crop of 2-year-olds and they don't train on, things go wrong, but that's not happened in this case.
And Zafonic is returned at 6-5 on favourite. It did touch 11-10 on the course, and the heavy hitters were certainly in for it. The second, Barathea, was a 10-1 chance, and how easily he would have won the 2,000 guineas if Zafonic had not turned up. The third, Binajwad, was a 66-1 chance. And that's Zafonic, the 75th favourite in 185 runnings to win the Guineas. He's the 27th to go in at odds on. He's the 10th French-trained winner of the race. The last was Zeno in 82. And he's the third of them to go off favourite. To Boone in 59 and Jebel in 1940. The other French-trained winners, French-trained favourites of the 2,000 Guineas. He's the 13th colt to win the Dewhurst and then the 2,000 Guineas. The most recent was El Grand Senor in 84. And he's the 5th English Classic for his owner, Khalid Abdallah, his third 2,000 Guineas. The second English Classic for trainer Andre Fabre, who won the 91 St Leger with Toulon. And the 11th Classic for Pat Edery, and his third 2,000 Guineas after El Grand Senor and Lomond. Magnifique, Zafonic.
This is Andre Fabre, the trainer of Zafonic, and firstly, from all of us, many congratulations. A magnificent, probably a record-breaking performance. Andre, a long day for you, and started with fog and perhaps a tiny doubt wasn't get here at all.
I think a lot of people were worried, but I was not. I was lying in my bed very confidently.
What about the horse? How worried does he get? Because obviously he gets quite close to the body. He's a very keen horse. How easy has his temperament
not really.
been?
Don't forget that he's traveling. You know, it's always big. He's a very settled horse. You know, he's very quiet, very calm.
And then through the winter, we all saw what he did to the best in the Dewhurst. But through the winter, as a trainer, you're trying to bring him to this peak, but it didn't quite work out your pre-Jebel.
It didn't because of the mud, you know, between the pits, and he had a little setback during the winter, so he wasn't 100%. And we had the worst conditions in the pits. But the horse lost a bit of confidence, and he just regained it a week ago. You know, it worked very well.
It's so early in the the rest of the career, but at least he's avoided the horse. Andre, tell us though, to get the horse back from that defeat, and you say he loses confidence, what made you sure he'd got it back?
Well, his general attitude, you know.
And how had he worked? Had he done a really good bit of work?
I didn't work him, just a very easy work to let him win easily and regain his confidence. You know, the horse was fit.
He's absolutely pulverised him over a mile.
Yeah.
How confident were you who stayed that extra furlong?
Well, this is you know, good horses, they always stay because they go faster than the other, you know. Yeah. In the old days, we would have won the Derby. I don't know what the Prince will decide.
Yeah. But he's not actually in the Derby, is he still? He's in. So he's still not getting the Derby?
Well, it's very dream.
Or is it like that, or anything?
Yeah, anything.
Is he the best you've ever had?
I'm still a young trainer.
But so far?
So far, yes.
Andre, thank you very much. Good luck.
You're welcome.
So, all the questions answered, and one of the questions was about Zafonic's sire, the Mr. Prospector horse Gone West. People have said that some have gone west. He's only had 3 crops to race. He won the Grade 1 Dwyer Stakes over 9 furlongs himself. Some have said that some of his stock didn't train on, but this one has. Zafonic, you see, the dam hasn't produced anything tremendous yet. She was by the Derby winner, the Minstrel, but comes from a fine female line, Mofida, a really good filly of Mr. Sangster's. It's not a pedigree that would suggest a mile and a half, and I rather doubt whether Zafonic will be asked to attempt a mile and a half. He certainly gets a mile. Here's his starting price.
First, number 15, Zafonic, the 6-5 on favourite. Second, number 1, Barathea at 10-1. And third, number 2, Bin Ashwad at 66-1. The tape paid £2.10 for the win. The place is £1.50, £3 exactly, and £7.70. The dual forecast came to £8.60. The non-runner was number 10 and 14 rounds.
The wife of the senior steward, Lady Hartington, presenting the trophy to Sheikh Khalid Abdullah. Well, a happy man he must be. There's no public address because the lightning, well, I don't know whether it was they were afraid of the lightning or whether the lightning actually hit the public address. But it hasn't hit the cup for the 2,000 guineas. A lovely trophy and the one very, very proud owner. And you couldn't get very long odds against him being in the same position on Derby Day, I tell you. Probably not with Phonic, but he has got the first 3 favourites for the Derby ready to carry his colours already. And there was lightning before the race, and there's been equine lightning too, because we believe that Zafonic has not only set a track record, but shattered the record by over a second. That's not confirmed yet, but he looked like lightning, and the clock seems to suggest that he was. I must say, John and I can never remember seeing a horse going better 2 furlongs out in any race, but particularly in a classic race. Let's hear some news from Haydock.
Haydock, the 335. First, number 5, Legion of Honour, 9-1. Second, number 4, Ambiguously Regal, the 2-1 favourite. And third, number 6, James's Special at 15-2, 6 rounds. At first, the 320 was won by number 5, Forever Diamonds at 8-1. Second, number 14, CJA, 14-1. Third, number 8, Spanish Verdict at 25-1. And the fourth horse, number 2, Hound Dryad at 14-1. Number 3, Leaf the Lucky, and number 7, Henu were the 4-1 joint favourites and 16 rounds. And at Hereford, the 325 went to number 7, the Holy Gopher, 6-1. Second, number 3, a Motor Cloak, 5-1 favourite. And third, number 9, Wassell's Million at 14-1, 15 rounds. Utoxeter, the 315, won by number 4, Hello Ma'am at 13-2. Second, number 3, Qualitaire Memory, 4-1. And third, number 6, Cool Society, 9-1. Number 1, Millador was 3-1 favourite. Non-runner 5, 8 rounds. And the 345 went to number 1, One for the Pot, the 9-4 on favourite. Second, number 2, Bossberg at 9-4. And the third horse is number 3, Chagatai at 14-1, 4 rounds.
And here's Pat Henry, who 7 months ago you talked to us after sitting on Zafonic in the Prix-Salamande, and something hit us in the eyes, then hit underneath you. How strong did you feel today?
Well, that day last year was the first time we ever hit the good surface, so he told me what quite a good horse he was, and then he came over here and won the Dewhurst in the same style as he did today. The race went good for me. I was always happy where I was. I was following Barrett here, and he hit the front about a furlong and a half out, and I went up to him on the bridle.
And here it comes, and after all the worries and the build-up, they went a blazing gallop.
They went a good pace. Nominator on the outside of Leicester there on Silver Wizard. They were going a good lick, and
you coasted up the outer there.
Well, just here I followed Mace. He just started to hit the front, and I waited just till I got him nicely balanced going into the dip. And you'll see here, look at him. He's on the bridle. And then when I got him balanced in the dip, I let him off. And then now from here on, he starts to stride along.
And Patsy, I mean, you took him all the way there, just made him run.
Well, I just made him go up the hill. I mean, last year he looked about here when he first came in the Dewhurst. So today, I just said to him, come on, and he ran as straight as a gun barrel.
And Pat, on all our clocks, he's gone up that mile faster than any other horse has ever been up. Now, that's the fastest you've ever been up. What did it actually feel like?
Well, you know, the pace was very fast. The ground was definitely in the horse's favour. He loves it fast. You know, he showed he was a very good Tyrrel last year, and touch what he trained on.
Thank you, Barry. Tell us, though, beforehand, there has to be tension for everybody, particularly for the pilot.
Oh,
and
sure,
there was it went wrong, the pre-level.
Yeah.
How much did that dent your confidence? Andre said it actually dented the horse's confidence a bit.
No, I felt that the horse had to come out of the race very good, in my opinion. At the time, I didn't come out of the race very well, but because we got beat. But it was very testing ground, and he got on the good ground today and showed what a star he is.
What about the temperament, the pulls, as always the days that might boil over? How did he handle these preliminaries?
Today, he handled the parade and all that very good, and then just going to the start once or twice there, he was running, you know, taking a good hold with me. But when he got to the start, he settled down and he behaved very nicely.
He looks an enormously strong horse to run.
He is a big, strong horse, and if you show him daylight, well, then, you know, you're asking for trouble. He'll go off you.
And Andre was saying, well, he might sort of stay any distance, but
No.
his speed is everything, isn't it?
His speed is everything with him. You could take him back to 60 when in July. He's a fast horse.
And how about going around a turn? You know where I'm going to get to with this question.
Well, he's a beautifully balanced horse, so, you know, possibly by the end of the year, the Breeders' Cup could be there.
We'll be there too, that's for sure, Pat. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, it was a one-horse race in the end, but what about those who finished behind Zafonic? No hard luck stories. First of all, Luca Cumani, who was absolutely delighted with Barathea. I said, where'd you go from here? He says, wherever Zafonic doesn't go. And Barathea did improve. That's incredible. Ben Adouard, absolutely thrilled Ben Hamper. He's always thought a lot of this horse, and it was proved by his third place today. He's going to run him now in the Dante at York in 9 days' time. Talked to Bruce Raymond, his jockey. He said, yes, definitely mile and a quarter. Just worried about a mile and a half. They'll try him out in the Dante and find out what happens there. Petardia absolutely smashing the way he stayed on, one of the long shots to finish fourth. He's now going for the St. James's Palace at Royal Ascot. Behind these, Inchinor, well, Frankie Dettori said he had every chance, but he thought the ground was a bit too fast for that one, and that was the same with Walter Swinburne on Wharf. He found him a little bit disappointing. He changed his legs when he asked him to quicken. Perhaps the ground was a bit too fast, but there were no hard luck stories. They all paid a handsome compliment to a horse called Zafonic, and I've got a young fella here who must be quite delighted with that victory.
Well, awesome is a word you'd use. They use in America and do a searing performance. He's a monster, this horse. He always has been. He turned out to be.
Don't sit on the fence.
And what about that Southampton Corals punter with that £5,000 double? Say a Daffy 11 to 1 for the 1,000, 9 to 2 Zafonic for the 2,000. The winter favourites for the Guineas have gone in terrible for anti-post books for the bookmakers, but not in the shops. That Corals punter, he's going to have a tremendous time. If you're watching us now, sir, the very best of luck to you. A third of £1,000,000 is coming your way, and even I'll be able to open the champagne. We've had it on ice for a long time. It was on ice this morning and is ready to go. But let's have a look at how the Derby betting is affected. The runner-up Barathea, and just to think how far Barathea would have won the Guineas with Zafonic out of the way, it's a 10 to 1 chance now for the ever-ready Derby, and 11 2,000 Guineas runners-up have won the Derby. This Century 58 ran 9-1. And the third Binage Wad, another terrific-looking horse, Binage Wad, 11 colts, third in the 2,000 Guineas have won the Derby, and this Century 52 ran 5-1. The best price against Binage Wad is 16 to 1. 10B is 4 to 1 favourite only with Corals. 11 to 4 with William Hill, and 3 to 1 with Ladbrokes, who go 8 to 1 bar. That's Armiger, and 8 to 1 Commander-in-Chief. 10 to 1 against Barathea, 12 Teos, and 16 Binage Wad. But I have made a special plea to His Highness Prince Khaled Abdullah as far as Zafonic. This is such an exceptional horse. I have begged him to leave out Europe's top mile races, the Sussex Stakes, the Queen Elizabeth, the race over at Deauville. Instead, go for Santa Anita on November the 6th for the Breeders' Cup Mile. He's had 13 horses that have been beaten there. Let's hope that we see Zafonic at Santa Anita. Train him for that.
Well, look at it backed it, and so I'm pleased to say did a lot of the Channel 4 team. We did because we backed what we saw, one wonderful moment in the Salamander. We thought, well, you never see things like that. But we're not just going to crow. The really great thing to do is people who stand up and take their punishment, because there was one man who was at Longchamp who said, well, he wasn't that impressed. He went 8 to 1. He's here now, Wally Para. 8 to 1 Zafonic at that stage. Did you get caned?
Well, I've got to say, Brough, obviously, that you and your team obviously thought he was a super horse, and you backed it accordingly. You put your money where your mouth was. I had an opinion that it was a good performance, but we were looking at 6 months in advance. And okay, come the day and the horse's odds on, it would look that you were going to be right before the race, and obviously that was confirmed by, well, you know, a supersonic performance by the horse. I mean, nothing could be taken away. It was a tremendous achievement, and so the punters were right, and unfortunately, from my point, the bookmakers were wrong.
And how bad is that for Wally Power? Still in the job on Monday,
How bad for me? Personally, I mean, my company stood behind it. They obviously had the same opinion as me, and we stood up against it. I mean, we obviously laid a £5,000 double, 11 to 1 and 9 to 2 about the horse, which that lucky punter's won 330,000. Yes, I should think he obviously will be going out. Well, he certainly won't be going out on the trawler tonight anyway. So that's it. We win some, we lose some. It's obviously, I would think, a pretty bad result for us, but we've got to keep smiling about it.
All over Britain, people are loving these words, Bob. They're loving them. Just keep going. Oh, dear, it's terrible. We're weeping all over. Anyway, thank you very much. Some of us enjoyed it enormously. Wally,
well done anyway.
Wally Power there.
Result from Thirsty 350. First number 9 High Nod, 5 to 2 favourite. Second number 7 Tarnside Rosal, 14 to 1. And third number 4 Margaret's Gift, returned at 5 to 1. A non-runner here was number 2 and 11 ran. And at Hereford, the 355 went to number 1 Billy Bathgate, 15 to 8 on favourite. Second number 2 Rather Sharp at 16 to 1. And third number 6 Star Lap, 8 to 1. Non-runner 7, 6 ran.
A great moment this really, because Jim McGrath's with me, and we have seen, it's a terribly overused, we have seen greatness in the thoroughbred rally this afternoon, don't you think?
Yes, I mean, he lived up to all the superlatives. I don't think there's any doubt that the superlatives went considerably over the top of what we'd seen from the on him from his 2-year-old. But what excited you? I mean, you've been racing even, you know, a lot longer than me.
Yeah.
You don't go as many times per day, perhaps, but you've been all around the world. And okay, people that just looked at the form book of that Salamander the day we were there, they were quite right to say what they said about, well, it's only 3 lengths in front of X, Y, and Z. But that wasn't the crux of the matter. We knew what we'd seen was a slow pace, and it was instant acceleration. And whatever the distance flat racing, you know, whether it's 5 furlongs or 2 1/4 miles, ultimately it's the fastest horse that we have.
It's speed.
And just to be, let's be absolutely fair to Wally Pirate. He was there that day. The other reps, Mike Dillon and Don Payne, were in Ireland that afternoon, and they went actually fractionally bigger, but none of us could get at them.
We got it well. Let's see how it happened, and then relish in this, Jim, because you and I and all who watch this program love the thoroughbred is best, and this is it, and it was a blaze from the start.
Yeah, Pat didn't say to you what he, one of the things he said to us while he was waiting to go on his interview with you, he talked about how the race settled. Pat said he actually heard the roar, which is very unusual, that went up when he hit the front. But really, on form, he was the class horse. He was the horse most likely to win if everything went well. But he couldn't have had it was a dream race. They all went off to try and run him out of stamina. They obviously felt collectively, the other jockeys, that was the way to get him beat. And, you know, just talking to Charlie Fawkes a minute or two ago, he was saying, you know, anybody who backed anything else against Zafonic knew their fate straight away. They just ran themselves into the ground. Right Win was going to try and make it. He's on this side of the picture. He wasn't fast enough to lie up. In the end, Nominator and Silver Wizard, and they're just cannon fodder. They weren't as good as him beforehand, and they've helped him.
Yeah, I mean, the only doubt was whether he'd get the extra furlong. Once you prove that, then they're absolutely dead.
Well, I mean, there was a slight doubt on pedigree, and if he didn't settle, but the way he won the Dewhurst and the way he won the Salamander, I'm sure there were no doubts in your mind. Closing up now, I mean, they're only at halfway. Leicester's still just on the bridle, but Michael Roberts on Barathea over on the far side, and obviously on further across Pat on Zafonic. I mean, the biggest shock of the race is how did Barathea get beaten in the Craven Stakes?
Yes.
And now down into the dip. I was actually surprised how long Barathea stayed with him.
Yeah, just even if there was going to be a weakness or something to be there.
You thought going into the dip he just might...
for a moment. Yeah. He just looked and, well, you say, here's the way he hit the noise.
Yeah. Pat said he could hear the noise here, and he was talking about what you know,
look at that stride. He's a very big horse to get hold of course. You need to make him go, because he's...
But he gets his hind legs right under him. I mean, you can see why he's not as effective on soft ground. When he won the Morney last year, saying he won on soft ground, he was nothing like that horse. Under those conditions, he is a very, very good horse, one of the greats.
And on your clock, it was the fastest time, on my clock, the fastest time ever here on the Rolling Mile.
Well, the record in the form book is a hand time anyway. There hasn't been an electric...
1:35.8, is it?
35.8, 35.7.
Yeah.
Anyway, the electric time is faster than that, and yours and my hand times taken from different places, so we're within 400ths of a second. So we're either both badly wrong or both nearly right. I mean, it's the fastest hand time by a second. He's a very, very good horse.
We've seen something very
And,
exciting.
OK, we were all sick of McCurrick screaming and shouting, and he overdid it. But the crowd here, they cheered him to the echo because racing needs its heroes, and he's one of them.
Yeah, and, you know, good luck to McCurrick for encouraging us all. Because
But I've got his slip, by the way.
He owes me some of his, I can tell you that, anyway. There'll be no nonsense, but let's get the finishing order where other money went.
And the winning distances were 3.5 lengths and 3 lengths, and then a remarkable performance on the replay by the third horse, Binajwad. That's one for the notebook as well. But the supersonic Zafonic has won the races, and what a tonic. Number 2, Barathir was second, Binajwad was third, and Petardi has run a big race to finish fourth. Silver Wizard set the pace and kept on well to be sixth. Inchinor was pushed along 2 furlongs out, stayed on 1 pace. Wharf was seventh, and Emperor Jones a creditable 8th. 9th was Nominator, 10th was Chattleworth, who was perhaps a fraction disappointing. 11th Ivory Frontier, 12th Revelation, one of the first to be ridden along to hold a position. Right Wind tried to take the early pace, but never got there, and the last horse to finish was Pembroke. So the winning distances then, 3.5 lengths and 3 lengths, with a length and a half back to fourth.
And no uninteresting dish to follow that magnificent banquet, because this is the Palace House Stakes, a really exciting sprint. 5 furlongs as fast as horses can lay legs to the ground. 17 runners listed by Graham.
So take a deep breath. And number 1 Artistic Reef, Frankie Dettori, drawn 14. 2 Bit of a Lark at 6, Ray Cochrane, and 3 Case Law at 13, George Duffield. Case Law going for his 4th course win. Number 4 is D'Urberville at 5, Michael Roberts, 5, Freddie Lloyd at 7, Pat Heddery. Number 6 is Paris House at 15, and a significant draw position, that John Carroll. Number 7, Regal Chimes at 17, Alan Munro. Number 8, Spaniards Close at 12, Order Swinburne. 9, Bunty Boo at 1, Richard Quinn. Number 10 is Loch Song. She'll run fast from the 16 stall under Willie Carson, but Brigfair won't. He doesn't take part. Number 12, Saint Express, is ridden by Jeff Penzer. They're drawn 3. That'll be on the right. 13 is Sir Tank at 11, Richard Hills. 14, Sea Gazer at 10, Kevin Darley. 15, Up and Atom. Will the draw stop that one at 4, Paul Edery. Number 16, Anonymous at 8, Gary Barbwell. And 17, Millions at 9, ridden by David Harrison. That's the lineup then for this Group 3 5-furlong dash, the Palace House Stakes. And the runners are at the start, and this is how the market trades.
And Up and Atom is the 9-4 favourite from 5-2. Loch Song is 5-1 from 9-2. And Freddie Lloyd a 7-1 chance from 11-2. Sea Gazer is 8-1 from 7s. D'Urberville is steady on 10-1 along with Paris House. And Spaniards Close is into 10s from 16s. Case Law a 12-1 shot. Millions also on the 12-1 mark. Artistic Reef is at 16s, and they go 25-1 Bardos.
Well, last year the French won this race. I'd love to see number 10 Loch Song win, but this year the Irish have got a tremendous chance, because this colt is called Up and Atom, a good Irish name, and he's already proved himself in England. He won the Cornwallis Stakes at Ascot last week, and the other day at Haydock he ran a really blinder of a race to be second to Sea Gazer, trying to give Sea Gazer £7, just failed by a neck to do so, and meets him on £7 better terms today. He's certainly likely to be in the shake-up.
He went there to win his race up at Haydock, so he just flew up right in the closing stages. Paul Andrews coming down.
That's Loch Song, last season's heroine, trained by Ian Balding to win the Stewards' Cup, the Goodwood's Cup, and the Portland Handicap. 3 of the top sprint handicaps, and then Loch Song went on and only just failed in group company. She was just beaten by Wolfhound in the Diadem at Ascot. So if she's trained on, this might be a little bit short for her, this 5. It's a stiff 5. She probably just better over 6, but not a lovely picture of her head.
Ian Balding won this race a few years ago with Silver Fling. There's Sea Gazer, and although he's meeting Up and Atom on worse terms, he's been a very consistent horse, this. And you look back through his form, he improved steadily throughout the back end of last season, owned by Peter Saville, and he certainly, his heart's in the right place because he was getting the worst end of the deal up at Haydock and really stuck to his guns well, and he certainly got the right man on board, Kevin Darley.
Freddie Lloyd was one that hasn't had a run this season. Pat must be feeling great, and he's likely to find himself going very fast on this consistent sprinter. He won 4 times last year, finished 5th in the Nunthorpe. As a matter of fact, finished alongside Paris House, who he meets again here today. He just got his head in front, in fact, of Paris House, who was 2nd in this race last year, beaten by Mont Bleu, trained by André Fabre. We'll see Paris House in a moment. But that's Freddie Lloyd. Hasn't had a run, but very, very likely to be involved. And it's confirmed that there was a new course record in the Guineas. We'll tell you exactly by how much later on. Well, I don't think it's raining all that badly, but that's rather an elegant style in makeshift hats. And with lovely hair like that, she needs to keep it dry. Michael Roberts on d'Orbeval, who he rides for André Fabre. Well, I shouldn't think André Fabre minds too much what happens in the Palace House Stakes, but it's entirely possible that d'Orbeval will give a second victory for France, because he has won his only race this season at Evry, a listed race at Evry, won it comfortably by 2.5 lengths. And that really is an improvement even on his good form last season. Let's hear some news from John Mack now.
Trainer André Fabre had d'Orbeval there, of course, sent over Mont Bleu last year, who floored the odds on Paris House. It's 10-1 against d'Orbeval. But such was the excitement down here, and the people drawing their money off the bookmakers, the talk, watching on a huge screen, the punters seeing the replays of Zafonic. The betting's hardly got started on this cracking good race, the Palace House. They're pushing out now this up and atom 9-4, 5-2. They have just laid 11-4. It's back to 5-2. It's 6-1 against Loch Song, 7-1 Freddie Lloyd, number 5. It's then 9-1 against Paris House and 10-1 d'Orbeval, and Spaniards close. Also 10-1, well back from 20-1 and 106. That 10-1 Spaniards close. The old Spaniards close won the 63 Handicap for Lester Beggett and the 62 Victoria Cup. That's the one I remember. But the Irish horse 5-2 favourite, up and at 'em. But we're still buzzing with stories about Zafonic. We are here.
Not only a course record confirmed, but also a record crowd. There are 20,000 people here. There were 20,000 who saw and treasured Zafonic, including a bride. What a wonderful day to have a wedding. I hope to heaven they were on Zafonic, but they'll certainly never forget him. They won't, I suppose, be able to call their first son Zafonic. Oh, I don't know why not. There's Satank. Richard Hills. Well, I remember that by some miracle I backed this in the Windsor Castle. He made all the running at Royal Ascot. Tremendous speed. Ran really well in the Flying Childers later on last season too. He didn't actually show his great speed in his only run this season. He was only 5th behind Saint Express at Thirsk. Saint Express, who he meets here again. Nevertheless, Tank Cam Motor, if he's on song. 5-2 up and at 'em now. 11-2 Loch Song. 7's Freddie Lloyd, and there they go.
And over a 5 furlong track, if you're a recall man, you need to be able to move quickly. Case Law is going well. So too Paris House. John Carroll, successful up at Haydock. Sea Gazers with the pace and the light blue sleeves. Blue colours are right on the far side. That's Loch Song going fast. Freddie Lloyd, Millions. Artistic Reefs just off the pace. Pushed along is up and at 'em. That's Loch Song, blazing the trail with Paris House and Sea Gazer. These have it, and they're going on the high numbers, and that's the favour part of the track perhaps, but Sea Gazer is putting in a big run. That shares the lead still with Paris House. Green colours, Artistic Reef starts to pick up. Regal Chimes running fast. Up and at 'em starts to get going. Bunty Boo with a run too, but they've got just over a furlong to go, and it's Paris House, the little grey, putting his toe forward now. Loch Song in second place. Artistic Reef in green is finishing. So too d'Orbeval with a run. That could get placed, but Paris House is back to his best.